Have you ever received those strange WhatsApp messages from unknown numbers that say, "Reply this message and you will receive favor today"? Or, "Don't ignore this message or something bad will happen"? Most people laugh and delete them, but Mira didn't laugh. She replied, "Amen." And what happened after that single reply, after typing that harmless word, "Amen," opened a door she never imagined, a door to something dark, something dangerous, something that stepped quietly into her life. Because unknown to her, that number didn't belong to a normal person, but to someone who traded evil for other people's blessings, hiding behind a disguised WhatsApp prayer and innocent-looking declaration. From that moment, Mira's life began to fall apart, piece by piece. And what happened thereafter will leave you shocked to your bones. Mira was known in her neighborhood as a peaceful young woman, gentle with her words, careful with her actions, and never the type to trouble anyone. People often said she had a soft spirit, the kind that made you feel safe just being around her. She lived with her mother in a small 2-room apartment painted with fading blue. Her life was simple, predictable, and calm. That morning, she woke up earlier than usual. Her alarm hadn't even rung yet. The soft rays of the morning sun crept through a small crack in the curtain, painting a line of light across her wall. She stretched gently, blinking away sleep. Like every young person, her hand went straight for her phone before her feet touched the floor. The moment she pressed the power button, her notification light blinked nonstop. She frowned a little. Who would be messaging her at 5:42 a.m.? She unlocked the phone, still half awake. One new WhatsApp message from unknown number. She clicked the chat. The message simply read, "Reply this message and you will receive favor today." Mira stared for a few seconds. There was no profile picture, no name, no status, just a plain gray icon, the type of display picture WhatsApp gives to accounts that never upload anything. She rubbed her eyes and checked again. Maybe it was one of those church broadcasts people forward randomly. But no. There were no emojis, no long paragraph, nothing that suggested it came from a church group. Just one line. "Reply this message and you will receive favor today." Mira exhaled softly and dropped the phone on her bed. "People have started again this morning," she murmured. She quietly stood up and walked out to begin her morning chores. She swept the compound, greeted 2 neighbors who were also cleaning, fetched water, and helped her mother prepare tea. Everything was normal, or so it seemed, but for some reason, that strange message stayed at the back of her mind. Once in a while, she would stop and wonder, who sent it? Why me? Why that message? But she shook it off. She had important things to worry about, especially the exam she was preparing for that morning. That exam meant everything to her. Passing it would give her a chance to enter a vocational program she had dreamed of joining for years. After breakfast, she dressed neatly, packed her documents into her bag, and prepared to leave. Her mother called from the kitchen. "Mira, God will go with you today." "Amen, Mummy," she replied. As she picked her phone to check the time again, the strange message popped back into her head, but she ignored it once more. She didn't know ignoring it would be the beginning of her nightmare. She hurried outside, adjusting her bag strap. She was excited, hopeful, and determined to give her best in the exam. This was her chance to change her life and help her mother. But just 5 steps from the door, her phone slipped out of her hand. It fell face first onto the concrete floor with a loud crack. She gasped and bent quickly. Instantly, the entire screen was shattered, a thick web of cracks spreading from the center to the edges. The display flickered weakly. "No, no, no, not today. Please," she whispered, her heart pounding. She hadn't even left the house, and her phone was already useless. Her entire exam schedule, map, and QR code were inside that phone. She fought tears, slid the broken device into her bag, and hurried toward the bus stop anyway. "Maybe I can still make it. Maybe they can let me in without the QR code," she whispered as she walked fast. But when she reached the junction, heavy traffic had blocked the entire road. Buses were delayed. Bikes refused to pass the route she needed. She waited, waited, and waited. Every minute passing felt like a stab. By the time a bike finally agreed to take her, she was already late. She begged the rider to hurry. They drove as fast as they could, but when she finally arrived at the exam center, people were already coming out. Some were laughing, some were discussing questions, some were calling home. The exam was over. Her body went numb. She stood there frozen at the gate, staring at the building she had been preparing months for. A building she couldn't even enter. Hot tears filled her eyes. She walked to a corner and sat down, covering her face with both hands. What kind of day is this? Why me? Why today? She sobbed. After a long moment, she wiped her tears and forced herself to stand. She needed to go home. She needed to tell her mother what had happened, even though the thought alone made her heart sink deeper. But the day wasn't done with her yet. Halfway home, she felt her stomach twist in fear as she saw people rushing into her street. She followed them, and by the time she got home, shockingly, she found her mother lying on the ground in front of their house, surrounded by neighbors. "Mummy?" She rushed forward, dropping to her knees. Her mother was sweating, weak, clutching her chest. "Mira, my daughter, I don't understand what is happening to me. I suddenly feel sick and weak," she whispered painfully. Mira screamed for help. Neighbors lifted her mother and rushed her to a nearby clinic. Mira ran behind them, crying uncontrollably. The nurses took her mother in and connected a drip. They asked questions. When did this start? Did she eat something unusual? Has she been sick before now? Mira could barely speak. She didn't even know the answers to give to them. Everything was happening too fast. Her mother lay there, eyes closed, breathing unevenly. She held her hand and prayed silently. When the nurses stepped outside, Mira sat alone beside the bed, shaking from fear and sadness. She reached for her phone, hoping to call someone for help, but the cracked screen barely responded. She pressed the power button. It flickered weakly. Just then, at that very moment, a new WhatsApp notification appeared. Same number, same faceless profile. Another message. "If you ignore this, bad luck will keep happening to you. Reply now and your life will not scatter." Mira's heartbeat stopped for a moment. Her mouth went dry. Her eyes widened. She felt cold, as if someone poured ice through her veins. She whispered slowly, "What is this?" She stared at the message for a long time. Her hands trembled. Her chest tightened. She remembered the broken phone, the missed exam, her mother collapsing, the strange air around her all day, that heavy, eerie silence she kept noticing. And now, this message. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Fear whispered in her ear, "Just reply. What's the worst that could happen?" She swallowed hard. For another stretched seconds, she didn't know what else to do. The message just stayed there, staring back at her. Her heart raced. Finally, with shaky fingers, she typed, "Amen," and she pressed send. The moment the message delivered, her phone screen glitched, flashing like lightning. A strange cold wind brushed past her neck. Her breathing hitched. She looked around the hospital room, suddenly uneasy. Something had changed. Something invisible had entered her life. And that single word, "Amen," opened the door. A door she didn't even know existed, until it was too late. Something clicked, and the change happened spiritually. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it wasn't the kind of change that breaks windows or shakes walls, but it was the type of change that crawls quietly into your life and refuses to leave. She sat beside her mother's hospital bed, breathing slowly, trying to convince herself she had only replied a harmless message. Many people do it every day. Many people forward chain messages. Many people type "Amen" without thinking twice. But as she whispered reassurance to herself, her body suddenly felt cold. Painfully cold, as if someone opened a freezer behind her. She rubbed her arms gently. "Why is it so cold?" she whispered. She looked around the room. The fan was off, the window was closed, the curtain didn't move, yet her skin had goosebumps. She tried to ignore it, but when she glanced at her reflection in the small metal drip stand next to the bed, she froze. Her skin looked different, paler, almost faded, like the color of life itself was leaving her body slowly. She touched her cheek. It felt normal, but looked wrong. "Maybe it's stress," she whispered. She adjusted her chair and closed her eyes for a moment. But when she opened them, her heart almost stopped in fear. Something stood in the corner of the room. A shadow, tall, thin, still, facing her directly. She blinked fast, once, twice. The figure didn't disappear. Her mouth went dry. Her voice stuck in her throat. But before she could scream, a nurse walked in and switched on the light. The shadow vanished instantly. Mira stared at the corner, confused, terrified, unable to understand what she just saw. She didn't tell the nurse. She didn't want to sound crazy. She just sat there staring at the empty corner where the shadow had stood moments ago. Her heart wouldn't stop racing. When she returned home that evening, her body felt heavy, like she had walked a long journey with a bag of stones tied to her back. She dropped her bag on the table and went straight to her room. She reached for her purse to take out the small money she had left, but the strangest thing had happened. When she opened it, the money was gone, all of it. She shook the purse, turned it upside down, emptied every corner. Nothing. "Ha! I put money here. I put money here." She cried in confusion. She checked her bag, her pockets, everywhere she could think of. Still nothing. Her chest tightened again. She sat on the bed slowly, breathing like someone who had just witnessed a terrible accident. How can money disappear just like that? She tried to arrange her thoughts, but her mind felt slippery, like she was trying to hold water with her hands. She kept forgetting things she had done just minutes ago. She stood, then forgot why she stood. She walked to the door, then forgot why she walked there. She held her phone, then forgot who she wanted to call. Her own mind felt like it was dissolving piece by piece. That night, the darkness in her room felt different, heavier, thicker. She sat on her bed and stared at the window. There was nothing there. Yet the air around the window felt strange, as if someone was standing behind the curtain watching her silently. Her hands trembled. Then she heard a voice, a whisper, soft, deep, right by her ear. "Mira!" She screamed and jumped up, switching on the light. But no one was there. Her walls were empty. Her room was still. Yet the silence felt dangerous. She sat on the bed again, shaking. Then she made the worst mistake of the night. She closed her eyes. The moment her eyelids shut, her dream dragged her into a dark place, a place that felt too real to be a mere imagination. She found herself standing in the middle of a huge, dark hall with fire bowls on the ground. The air smelled of herbs, smoke, and something rotten. Around her were evil-looking men, their faces painted black and red. Wearing long cloths made of bones and dried leaves, they circled her slowly, chanting her name. "Mira! Mira! Mira!" Their voices sounded like 1,000 insects crawling under the earth. She tried to scream. No sound came out. She tried to run. Her feet wouldn't move. The men came closer, their eyes glowing faintly, their hands stretched out as if trying to drag something from inside her chest. One of them stepped forward, his eyes red like burning coal. "You replied," he whispered. He lifted a knife with strange symbols. "You belong here now." They all stepped forward at once. She felt their cold hands touching her skin. And at that very moment, she shouted in her dream, or perhaps in reality, and woke up sitting straight on her bed, gasping, sweating, shivering uncontrollably. No, 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 no. What is happening to me? Tears rolled down her cheeks. She grabbed her phone with trembling hands, wanting to check the time. But when the screen lit up, her WhatsApp DP had changed. It wasn't her normal smiling picture anymore. It was her face, blurry, darkened, twisted, almost like a shadowy version of herself staring back at her with hollow eyes. She screamed and threw the phone on the bed. Her heart was pounding like a drum, her breath shaking, her whole body trembling. She felt it now, deeply, unavoidably. Her life was draining. Something was feeding on her. Something she had answered. Something she had accepted with one innocent word. Amen. The next morning, Mira looked like someone who had not slept in years. Her eyes were heavy and red. Her skin looked even paler than the day before. She could barely walk straight. Her friend Michael visited her when he heard about her mother's collapse. The moment he saw Mira, he frowned. "Mira, are you okay? You look different." She shook her head slowly and tears filled her eyes. "Mike, something is happening to me. I don't understand." She handed him her cracked phone. "Look at this number." He took the phone gently. No profile photo, no description, no name, just a number. And the last message, "Reply now, and your life will not scatter." Michael stared at it for a long time. Then he exhaled slowly. "Mira, this is not a normal number." She swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" He looked up at her with serious eyes. "I've heard stories about this. I've read them online. I know someone who experienced something similar." She felt her heart race. "Mike, what are you saying?" He sat beside her and lowered his voice. "The source or person sending this message is not just some random scammer. He is someone who performs rituals." Mira covered her mouth. Michael continued. "His life is supposed to fall apart. Whatever he did spiritually is supposed to destroy him. But instead of facing it, he transfers his calamity to other people." Mira felt cold instantly. "How?" "By making people reply." Mira shook her head slowly. No, it's not possible. It was just amen. Just a harmless amen." Michael looked at her sadly. "For you, it was harmless. For him, that amen was an agreement." A tear fell down her cheek. Michael continued. "Anyone who replies begins to carry his misfortune. They start losing things, they start failing, they start getting spiritually attacked. Some even die." Mira gasped. The room suddenly felt smaller. "But why me? I didn't do anything." "I know," Michael whispered. "But he chose you and you replied. That's how the exchange begins." Mira trembled violently. Her voice came out shaky. "So, he's taking my blessings?" Michael nodded slowly. "And you're receiving his misfortune." She covered her face with both hands and wept like a child. Her whole world had collapsed, and she didn't even know why. The truth that followed her cry was heavier than anything she had ever carried. A stranger's message had become a spiritual agreement. A simple amen had opened a door, and now something dark was inside her life, and it wasn't leaving on its own. By midnight, the entire compound was silent, the kind of silence that made even the trees outside look frozen. Mira lay on her bed, still weak, her eyes half closed. She had barely slept for days. Every time she tried to close her eyes, she saw faces. Dark, hollow faces chanting her name. She shivered and covered herself with her duvet. Then, it happened. Her phone vibrated sharply again on the table. Once, twice, then again. The sound pierced through the stillness of the room like a blade. Mira slowly turned her head toward the table. Her heart stopped. It was him, the same unknown number. But this time, it wasn't a normal message. It was a WhatsApp video call. Her hands instantly grew cold. Her chest tightened as if invisible hands were squeezing it. No, please," she whispered, voice trembling. The phone kept ringing, vibrating aggressively, as if trying to pull her attention by force. She squeezed her eyes shut. But fear has a way of dragging the eyes open even when the soul wants to look away. Confusedly, her fingers, shaking uncontrollably, reached for the phone. Not because she wanted to answer, but because fear pushed her. Fear made her touch the screen. Fear made her swipe. She answered. The moment she did, the screen glitched green lines, static, darkness. Then, an image appeared. At first, it looked like a silhouette, a shadow leaning toward the camera. But it wasn't a normal shadow. Slowly, the figure came into focus. A face appeared, half human, half something beyond human understanding. One side looked like a man. The other side looked like smoke, shifting and melting as if it wasn't meant to hold a shape. His eyes were the worst part. They were entirely black, like deep wells that swallowed every form of light. He smiled, the kind of smile that didn't belong to any living being, and in a voice that sounded like a whisper mixed with a growl, he said, "You replied my message." Mira froze, her breath cut short, her fingers trembled. Fear took over her. The voice continued, "You said Amen, and when you said it, your blessings became mine." At that exact moment, her room changed. The temperature dropped so low that she seemed to see her breath turning white in the air. Her curtains fluttered, even though the windows were closed. The light bulb flickered like it was struggling for life. Her heartbeat thundered inside her chest. The man's voice deepened. "I warned you not to ignore me." Mira tried to speak, but her throat tightened. She reached for her mirror beside the bed, the small round one she always used. Her reflection was gone. Only a blank, dark surface stared back at her. It was like she didn't exist. She gasped, choking out a terrified scream. The shadowy man tilted his head, almost amused. "You won't need your reflection anymore," he whispered. "You don't need a future when I now own your life." At that moment, something inside her snapped, as if she suddenly regained consciousness. She screamed and threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall and fell, face down, still ringing, still vibrating like something inside it was alive. Then suddenly, the call stopped. There was absolute silence. Mira collapsed on her knees, shaking violently. This wasn't just bad luck anymore. This was spiritual. This was devilish and deadly. And if nothing was done, she would be gone by morning. Her breathing became heavier by the minute. Her skin looked grayish, drained. Her eyes began to sink in like someone losing life slowly. Her mother ran into the room, horrified as she heard her scream, "Mira, what is it? What is happening to you?" she asked, also scared. Mira could barely lift her head. "Mama, help me, please." Her mother didn't wait. She grabbed her daughter, wrapped her with a shawl, and rushed her outside. The night air felt thick, like it carried danger. There was only one person her mother could think of. Mama Ijoma, the elderly woman who lived 3 streets away. The woman who once survived a digital curse when she unknowingly clicked a strange link many years ago. Her mother knocked frantically on the old woman's wooden door. "Mama Ijoma, please open the door. It's Mira. Something is happening to her." The door opened slowly. The elderly woman stepped out, wearing a simple wrapper and holding a dim kerosene lantern. One look at Mira, and she frowned deeply. "Ah," she whispered. "This thing again." Her voice was calm, but her face showed fear, real fear. She touched Mira's forehead gently and shuddered. "The same coldness, the same darkness. This spirit caught me once too. It only enters through acceptance." They carried Mira inside. The room was small but filled with old books, native lamps, dried herbs, and items from a life filled with spiritual battles. Mama Ijoma sat Mira down on a low stool and took the cracked phone from her mother's hand. She didn't touch it with her bare fingers. She used the edge of her wrapper to hold it. Mira managed to whisper, "Mama, it called me. I saw his face. Mama Ijoma closed her eyes slowly. My daughter, you replied. That was how the door opened. That amen you typed is not prayer. It is agreement. You agreed to exchange your blessings with his misfortune. Mira's mother covered her mouth, tears falling uncontrollably. This is evil. What do we do, Mama EJ? Please help. Mama Ijoma shook her head. This number is not from this world. Some wicked people attach themselves to numbers to search for victims. She listed calmly. Some attach their misfortune to anonymous contacts. Some send messages that look innocent. The moment you reply, the spiritual link forms. They pull your blessings into their own lives and replace it with darkness and evil through rituals. She sighed deeply. And this man is one of them. Mira's breathing became shallow. Please, Mama, help me. Mama Ijoma took a native lamp and lit it. Not for prayer, but because she said the flame helps her see those in the spiritual realm. She squatted beside Mira. Listen carefully, Mira. To break this curse, you must destroy every doorway he used to enter your life. She spread a bowl of salt on the floor as a purifying barrier. Then she instructed Mira, turn the phone face down. Mira's fingers shook violently, but she obeyed. Now delete the unknown number. The moment her hand touched the screen, the phone flickered wildly. The unknown number tried to call again, then again, then again. The device vibrated so hard that it slid across the ground like something was dragging it away from her. A voice echoed faintly from the speaker. Mira screamed and jerked back. Mama Ijoma shouted, delete it now! Mira pressed delete. The effect was immediate. The lamp blew out by itself. The phone's screen turned pitch black. A sharp, agonizing scream burst from the phone's speaker, so loud it made the windows rattle. Then, silence. Absolute silence. No number, no messages, no chat history. Everything vanished, as though the number never existed. Mama Ijoma didn't stop there. She commanded Mira, remove the SIM, break it into two, smash the phone battery, drop everything into the bowl of salt. As Mira dropped the last piece into the bowl, something like a thin, dark smoke lifted from her body and disappeared. She gasped. Shockingly, right there at that very moment, her heartbeat steadied. Her temperature rose back to normal. Her color returned. Her reflection reappeared in a small mirror on the wall. For the first time in days. Mira breathed like a human being again. Mama Ijoma touched her shoulder gently. My daughter, you young people should learn. Not every message comes from human hands. Some come from restless spirits and wicked men searching for victims. Mira burst into tears. Relief, shock, and gratitude mixed inside her chest. She was free, and she would never treat a strange message lightly again. Morning came slowly, warmer than the nights Mira had survived. For the first time in days, sunlight felt normal. It didn't sting her eyes. It didn't feel heavy. It simply rested gently on her skin, and she breathed it in like someone who had just been given a second life. Her mother hovered around her, touching her forehead, her arm, then her back, just to confirm she was truly fine. Mira, are you sure you're okay? She asked. For the fifth time, Mira smiled weakly, her voice soft. Mama, I feel lighter. I feel like myself again. And she truly did. The heaviness she carried was gone. The cold shadows were gone. The strange whispers that used to linger behind her ears. Gone. Her reflection, earlier wiped from the mirror, was back, clear and steady, and for the first time in a long while, she slept peacefully. Around afternoon, she checked her small savings box, the same one that had been mysteriously losing money every night. To her shock, all the missing money was back, every note. Everything was intact, like nothing was ever taken. She gasped and covered her mouth. Mama! Mama, come and see! Her mother rushed inside, still fearful that something had gone wrong again. But when she saw the money, she pressed her hands on her chest and whispered, God of mercy, thank you." Later that day, Mira's grandmother, who had suddenly fallen sick when the curse started, woke up from a long nap looking refreshed. Her eyes were brighter, her body steady, as though her strength was restored in a single breath. She stood, stretched her hands, and shook her head slowly. "Mira, my sickness is gone." The relief that washed over Mira made her knees weak. By evening, their home felt like a different place. The air wasn't heavy anymore. No dark shadows crawled by the window. The night didn't feel like it was watching them. For the first time in days, Mira could laugh softly, breathe deeply, and walk freely around her house without fear gripping her chest. She sat on her bed slowly, her cracked phone lying next to the bowl of salt where Mama Ijoma had dropped its broken pieces. She stared at it for a long moment, remembering everything that had happened. The message, the bad luck, the nightmares, the video call, the shadowed face, the disappearing reflection, the evil voices and whispers. Her body shivered slightly. The trauma was still fresh, but she was grateful she survived. She reached for her mother's old button phone from the drawer, the one that couldn't run WhatsApp, the one that couldn't open unknown links or display strange numbers. As she inserted a new SIM, she whispered to herself, "No more replying to strangers, ever again." And she meant it. From that day on, any message from an unknown number, she deleted instantly. Any broadcast that sounds suspicious, ignored. Any WhatsApp number with no profile photo, blocked. Any random type amen message, avoided. Any number that tries to force fear, removed immediately. Mira learned the hard way. She learned that not every contact is a contact. Not every message is harmless. Not everyone sending you a prayer has good intentions. And not all strangers are strangers. Some are spirits, some are trap setters, some are scammers, some evil people looking for who to exchange their misfortune with or use for their dark rituals. Late that night, Mira opened her window and let the fresh air in. Her life had returned to normal. Her blessings had returned. Her mother had recovered, and peace, real peace, had come back into their home. But she would never forget the lesson. Never. Lesson from this story. Guys, this story should open our eyes and make us know that not every message is harmless, yes, but some are traps disguised as blessings. Evil hides inside modern tools we ignore, numbers, messages, links, and innocent-looking prayers. Be cautious with unknown contacts. Every reply is an agreement, whether you realize it or not. We shouldn't also forget that spiritual danger travels through phones too. What used to come through mirrors and shrines can now come through digital means. Always guard your digital space the way you guard your home. Have you ever received strange WhatsApp or any online messages like the ones Mira got? Did you ever reply to them? Have you ever experienced something mysterious or unexplainable through your phone? A message, a call, a dream, or a number? And tell us, what would you have done if you were in Mira's situation? Drop your comments below. Also, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to African Tales by Imade for more shocking, mysterious, and spiritually eye-opening stories like this. See you in the next one.